So basically, I want to start with a simple checkup. How many of you are active developers? Okay, good enough. By mean active, I mean when I really loved your presentation because it defines Sonic. When you say, okay, it's very easy to start with Sonic. What do? You do git pull of whatever, and you get, and then you can compile. Sometimes our guys joke that even to compile Sonic, you need to be a developer because it won't, you can't make it because it will crash, and you need to actually edit the source codes. Then you can assemble the community one. Also, the documentation, no problem. There is wiki, and it has very nice HLDs, high-level designs there. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about is productizing SONIC. Now, several words about who we are. We are Marvel certified solution provider. We work with Marvel Semiconductor. As an alternative to the only SONIC that I hear everywhere, Broadcom, we are working with Marvel. So we are definitely an alternative. And we do all kind of stuff. We do integration, consulting. We develop actively for SONIC, for SAI, for all kind of different proprietary systems out there. You name it. If you know any network operating system, we supposedly touched it. Just to get you some background, we are part of the first we started with the Open TIP. It's an Open LAN incentive that's doing things on top of the SONIC. And currently we're a new member of SONIC community as well. Thank you very much. And that's why I'm here. We are there on the sticker. Okay. So we hope to start doing stuff and contribute. Now, how we got there? How actually did we get there? Around a year ago, we've been approached by one major brand that everybody in this room definitely know. It's not Juniper or Cisco, smaller one, but everybody knows it. I can't name it. Still, till we'll have the PR, or I don't know, our marketing guys will manage how we deal with it. And they were aiming to release a product, a data center switch, top of the rack, built on top of SONIC, and they came to us to do the work. Now, definitely it's a clear alternative to Broadcom, and why? Because on Marvel it's cheaper. Anybody, who is from Broadcom here? Okay, he left, nice. No stones, okay, no, don't throw stones at me, Marvel is underdog here, so it's normal. The idea was, their actually goal was to create a viable product that users can use. And I'll get to that a little bit. Now, what we had the hardware. We have several sources of top-of-the-rack switches based on Marvel. We had the SAI, Marvel is releasing it, and we are working on the SAI as well. We have full access to it, and we had the community SONIC to start from on. The current stage, since 1 month ago, they finally accepted what we've delivered, which took almost a little bit less than a year. And the first batch of devices is delivered worldwide to their offices for the showcases and trials and demos and whatever they do. I don't know their marketing strategy. They're big guys. So what is a product? I'm thinking here as a relation to network switches and things that you can see on the market. First of all, product has to have a definition. Now, who knows here what the clear definition of SONIC is? I've seen somebody showing the AI, ask GPT what SONIC is. Now, my usual question is, when somebody comes to me, he says, what does SONIC support? What are the features that work? And I say, you want to know what other features are there or the ones that work, actually? Actually, when somebody asks me about what actually SONIC has, I can say to them, okay, you can go to Wiki, there is a roadmap there. Some parts of the roadmap are already done, some might not yet, maybe not. So, but at least, so the product has to have some clear definition. The product has to have documentation. Now, documentation is usually about stuff that works and not how it could be done, not the HLDs, but the real stuff that you can actually manage your network with. Now, everything better be documented. Now, if there is something that could be work, you better have it in documentation, because otherwise, how you know it's there? Everything declared and documented should be tested and preferably working. You know, maybe it's only tested, but not working doesn't help much. Everything that is not supported or not working should be documented as well, obviously. Because weird stuff happens when somebody tries to do stuff and things break down. And actually, if I have missed something, what do you think the definition of working switch that you buy as a product should be? Any ideas? Hardware. Well, hardware, obviously, there is a box. Now I'm talking about the software. It should be a hardware available, of course. So we started with hardening. Now, how it went? Now, first of all, these guys are serious and they don't believe our switch is working well. So they've done all the L1 RFCs checks on the speeds, packet loss, traffic forwarding. Now, we've done a lot of board stress tests, which is you populate all the switch with the the most power-hungry SFPs out there, maybe on short links, but the ZR, and you see how the switch is handling under consumption, under the stress loaded with the traffic, and what are the temperatures, if the fans are enough. We've done a lot of stability tests, and we found very nice things we have to deal with. Now, second, everybody's talking about security. Sonic used Debian as a base. Now, build root is much easier. We've been always doing proprietary stuff with build root. There's not much you can screw with build root. But Debian, you need to think about CVEs, and you need to think about the daemons that you use, and you need to think about the system-wide CVEs all there. And I've actually seen a lot of companies that deal with it, but currently I don't think it's handled somehow with Sonic, which is a good idea to think about. And of course, there is very nice, and I love it. It was my speech last year, the Sonic testing. Now, Sonic has actually very good community tests. We augmented them with traffic generators because we need to fully load it. But actually, if you dive in, my presentation from the last year is there. Sonic has a very good testing automation. There is a testing for SAI, for the network driver, I call it. Okay, somehow to explain what SAI is all about. And there is also a very good community test for the functionality. And on top of it, there is tests we've been doing just to check the functions are working well. So testing is all around, and Sonic has a very nice one. I love it. Now we've been working on the gaps. What the gaps are there. So basically, they chose the features they require. And when you think about features, who needs CLI and SNMP? We've just been talking about it. Now, in Sonic vision of the world, people using ZTP, they use network orchestration, and they use GNMI. And who is there in the world needs SNMP for that, for anything? Finally, we found that a lot of still are. There are big retards there who still need the CLI, okay? So we got this list. So after that, because of the hardening, we've been fixing bugs in the community distribution. We actually find a lot of bugs in the SAI. We call it SAI plugin. It's a part that communicates between the SAI and the packet processor SDK. We've been implementing the features that are missing, and we've been fixing all the guides, and I'll get to that, to show the real functionality. Because again, as I said, everything that is working should be in the documentation. Everything that is not working should also be in the documentation, and better somebody not touch it. The documentation. So there was a lot of work on the existing community documentation. A lot of unused legacy or not working configurations are there that does not relate to anything. And the HLD documents can't help you use the Sonic because it's HLD. Some parts of it is still not developed. So better have something that really actually works. Many unneeded info, like drafts. I'm talking about HLDs. Special info for developers. Now users don't usually assemble their software. Like when you order from the restaurant, sometimes now the delivery brings you just the goods, but usually you just eat it, you don't cook it. What we left was the CLI examples, which are nice, the topologies, and feature description on the user level. And we had to add those a lot. Now, currently for documentation, we use C file with Markdown to keep the files intact, and types because at the end, which I found, Wiki is very nice, but people still want from me PDF files. Like the one you've been shown from Celestica. I really love this quick start guide they assembled, thanks them, at least somebody put it on the web. But the idea is, so you need some approach to manage all this information in some kind of database and preferably editable by a lot of people. But in the end, they want from me, you don't imagine, Word file. They say, okay, give me now, you got me the PDF, and we obviously are exporting this from the C file and with Markdown. And they say, no, we need Word. We want to edit it and put our branding on top. Got them. Thanks God, Word still opens PDF. Now, the scaling and numbering, nobody thought about it, but when we actually got to the hardware, there were a lot of questions about the scaling, the table sizes. Now, imagine if you hit the limit somewhere in the ASIC, what will happen? So if you usually the kernel can crash, yes. So actually you need to do all the scale tests. You need to check all the tables. You need to ensure that if there is a hard limit on some resource in the ASIC, it should be enforced in the software before it will crash. Okay, so it was a lot of work doing on scale and numbering, and on the low-end enterprise devices it's even worse, because we are working, this device I'm talking about is top of the rack. It's a pretty hard one. We are using it with, I think with ARM, and but the point is it's still pretty, let's say, developed ARM. It's 4-core, 64-bit, enough memory and flash, but in the enterprise it's even worse. You usually run low on any numbers and the tables in the ASIC as well. So you need to check all the tables, defined somewhere in the SONIC, and if the user hit a limit on the number of router records, forwarding records, like forward rules, then there should be some, usually preferably error or some kind of normal notification, but definitely not a crash. So we had issues, DMA limitations, MAC limitations, and we need to voice this also in the documentation as well. So you need to say, guys, you will have 128 rules if it's IPv4 and 256K rules if it's IPv4 256 and 128 if it's IPv6, and not more than that. Then we've been checking all the tables. There is VLAN, FDB, routing, ACLs for scaling and enforce the limits. Actually, there also are problems with using VLANs 01 and 1495 that I remember they can use. And also kind of protocol parameters, they should be specified somewhere, so people need to know what they get. Some gaps that we have to close in the functionality. The VRRP, we've been actively patching the code and mostly the SAI code. TACAX Radix bug fixing, invalid configuration for TACAX by default, we need to check it. MCLAC is not working on Marvel. Maybe on Broadcom commercial enterprise SONIC it's working well, but not on the community one. So we had to fix the support, the net support to SAI. VXLAN was not working. Also fixed that. IGMP MLD, we've done the integration, and actually a lot of stuff in SONIC does not exist in the release, but there are pull requests for that. So if you want to go dive in SONIC and do stuff, you need to actively check all kind of myriads of pull requests not accepted, and that's a big issue in SONIC community that somebody, when we need to talk openly about it, I think, and I uploaded my presentation, by the way, you don't need to make photos in the chat. No, it's fine, it's fine. It's the most important slide I have there, actually, because I asked my guys, I really want to put real stuff here, not just talking about, castles in the clouds. These are real stuff that we've been doing, and there is a lot of pull requests that are not accepted, but there is functionality there. For example, the STP, I don't know if it's, they finally accepted it or it's still in, finally, but it wasn't as a pull request for a long time. I know. Okay, so we had to add MSTP, RSTP, and the normal one. And we also been doing a lot of stuff, but unfortunately this we took from some kind of commercial part. I'm not sure if it can be open sourced. But anyway, so we're doing most of this stuff. We either add to SAI, or we are patching SONIC, or we are just doing the missing parts. So the PIM, actually there is almost zero multicast in SONIC, so we added all of this. And these are the stuff that was required by the brand. So they say, if you're doing switch, we still need it with our customers, so they know what they need, okay? And this is the feature that is still missing. If you think about the normal usage of these data center switches outside of Azure and Microsoft SRv6 stuff. So the platform support, the hardware, we got there. When you think about the hardware, I actually was thinking about the ports. They should transfer the traffic. What else can you expect? These guys, they've been talking about the stuff that people see. Like, for example, there is a lot of work involved in taking care of the LEDs. Now, I never thought we have so many. Now, obviously, the port LEDs are working very well. You can, because Marvel is managing them in hardware, so they are all blinking by themselves. You will set them up and you forget. But there is mostly, it depends on the hardware design, but there is a very nice LED stream signal. If it's configured, they will blink normally. But besides of that, there is port status, which, for example, has to show if there is a port breakout used. If you know, we can break out with 100 gig links into 4 links of 25 or 400 into 200s or whatever. You need to turn on the LEDs, and it's definitely nobody thought that SONIC needs that. SFP LEDs, as I said, at least port activity NOB worked. That's the one that worked from the moment, zero moment. A locator LED, nobody thought about it. The CLI need a command that will blink when somebody needs to find a switch in the rack. Fan status. System LED. Actually, we have many errors with system LEDs, and I loved it because they say, oh, the system LED is orange for some reason. Oh, because the LLDP crashed, and that's why the system LED is orange. It should be. So it helped us to troubleshoot stuff. SerDeses. When I talk about SerDeses is technically a low-level link that is definitely usually going to the DAC cable on the board or to the SFP. And they are not working well in all 100% of cases. You need to reconfigure them. There's different configurations for the AOC cable and DAC cable and SFP of one kind and SFP of another kind. And it just doesn't work from the, let's say, by the definition from the plant. So there is a lot of work attached to that. You need to assemble a set of cables you work with and pay attention to that. Maybe there will be cables that won't work from the first second. And also there is issues here that influence the, let's say, the comfortability. Now, if the link speed on the cable is like 50 seconds, you definitely don't like it. You want to link much faster. So there is a lot of work involved to make it happen. Again, there is SerDes fine-tuning, all kind of signaling that or information that these modules give, and you need to take care of that. Stability and stress. As I told you, the big part of the hardening was stability tests. And at least we found that there is some issues in the kernel that we have to fix. So we know it crashed on the SONIC 2023-11. There wasn't, and in the current version, we just have kernel freshers, and we know that we disabled the EFI pSTOR driver, EFI, and it worked better. So there can be issues with Linux. You need to take care of this as well. And the boot time. Now, I know the guys from PL Vision done a very good job on working on the Lightning in the SONIC, but it's not SONIC. Now, we had to stay SONIC, so we only managed to get 1 minute, shave off our device booted in 4 minutes. We shaved 1 minute by just replacing the supervisor to S6. So if you want to just have, I mean, it's 25% of loading time, this could be a good idea to follow. Now, all my slides are in SCAD already. You can download and see this. And this actually reducing boot time with the actions we've done to make things faster. And what I love the most is documentation. Now, there is very good documentation on SONIC. There is a wiki, and there is a quick start guide from Celestica. Very nice one. But I found myself that these guys expect much more. So the user guides, preferably you have to have functional specification or configuration guide, now which says how you do stuff. There is a command reference that everybody expects, which just have all the commands explaining what they do. There is also other guides that they expect me to have, like config.db guide, REST specification, Ansible or Chef guides. And I know Broadcom Sonic has it, but unfortunately community not. They expect the quick start guide, which Celestica did. They want to have the hardware specifications, what hardware is capable of to compare it to their requirements. Release notes for each of the versions. Suddenly, if whatever is broken in the specific release or whatever you added, the software and hardware limitations document that will say that what is the limits are. And they actually expect supported feature list and product brochure, data sheets available. So a lot of stuff. And it was a lot of work. So I said that we created a special server. We are working in the way we work, and we try to clean up and arrange it a product style documentation for this. Now, to summarize all of this, I want to say how we plan to contribute now to the community. Now, we've done a lot of work. We decided, we talked in our company, what we aim to do is, first of all, the fixes for SAI will deliver to the SAI manufacturers. I mean, not only Marvell, we are working with Xsight as well, and if there is other chip makers we will be working, we'll try to give them as well. Because that's their code, they are supplying the SAI drivers, so why not? Now, as a part of SONIC Foundation, we aim to deliver the fixes for SONIC to the community, see how they will be accepted. Otherwise, again, if you want to do the SONIC, go to see all the pull requests or push requests, maybe they are there, hanging somewhere. I really want to raise here a call to action for the documentation. If somebody wants to join us in this quest for better documentation, user side, we will definitely welcome you. And there's my contacts in my presentation and all over, so get contact with me if somebody wants to help, to join us and do this. I still don't know what to do with Sonic code improvements and the proprietary code that we used for some features. Maybe that's not something we can contribute because of the obvious reasons, but we are thinking about it, how to deal with it. Maybe there will be some, let's say, shorter release or limited release or maybe delayed release. I still don't know, but there are definitely things we can help with, and really looking for partners who can help us to work on documentation. If somebody wants to join, we'll happily do this. I was quick. Now, one lady yesterday told me a very fun story. She said, I'm so talkative that they have a special definition in Dutch for this. How they said, lip diarrhea. So I try to be fast. And if you have questions, I will happily answer them. Nothing? I mean, okay. Oh, thank you.
Well, from what I understood from your presentation, there are at least 2 points of issues in the solution. It's vendor, SI or SDK, and Sonic. So which one is more buggy from your experience?
Sonic is much bigger. So, you know the size of SI. What is the size of Marvel SI? I think it's like several megabytes of code. I think it's 40, and Sonic is 800 totally. So, you know, less size, less issues. No, really, but if just measured by the size of it.
I guess Marvel will be happy to hear it.
Yeah, Marvel will be happy to hear it, but I see now, what I can say to you, Marvel has 2 family chips. One is Prestera, second one is Terralinx. You obviously can see that the Sonic is very adopted in the data center, and Marvel considers Terralinx chips their solution for the data center. So you definitely see it by the amount of development they, let's say, allocate to Terralinx versus Prestera, when we are working with Prestera. So if this are my answer, especially for Marvel.
Awesome, thank you.